DFS Show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We're looking at the Monday 9-game main slate. We are post Super Bowl here, recording Sunday evening, wearing my Eagles green. Eagles taking on the Chiefs, winning the Super Bowl here, preventing Mahomes from his 3 straight Super Bowls. But that just means, James, now it's basketball season full time, right? NFL in the back burner can focus fully on the NBA. Hopefully the masses focusing fully on the NBA here with us. I know you guys tune in and support us here each and every day. We appreciate that. 9 games. Interesting news happened over the weekend. I want to get your quick thoughts here because Charlotte is on this slate. Mark Williams, Dalton Connect, Lakers, Hornets, out of nowhere blockbuster trade. Next, Mark Williams failing his physical, getting sent back to Charlotte. Charlotte had traded for Yusuf Nurkic, assuming that they didn't have Mark Williams on their roster anymore. So now there's a bit of a log jam at center. Diabate did leave the Sunday game with an injury there, but what do we think we expect to happen now with Mark Williams with Charlotte?
I mean, I assume if you fail one team's physical, you might not do well on the other team's physical. So I guess it's going to be something that Charlotte's going to have to look a little more into because, clearly there's something going on if you're failing a team's physical. And clearly there's something also internal going on if the team that traded you didn't have any concerns with your physical before sending you out. So
yeah.
Might have to fire some people on the medical staff for Charlotte. Might maybe the Lakers dodged a bullet there, but we will see long term if Mark Williams can stay healthy or not.
Yeah, that'll be something certainly. After that trade, we saw some reports it could have been the back. Then Shams said it wasn't the back that failed him, so that's even more probably concerning. And then the other blockbuster deal that the Lakers were involved with Dallas, Anthony Davis, abductor strain, going to miss up to 2 weeks. Now, the NBA All-Star break is coming up. Maybe that helps Dallas mitigate that injury a little bit. But his debut game, in which he was absolutely dominating in, gets injured and now going to miss extended time. So the big trades that happened just a few days ago already making headlines once again. Your top price plays on this 9-game slate, Nikola Jokic is 12-7. Giannis is going to miss the next couple of weeks here again through the All-Star break with his injury. You have Wemby at 11K, SGA at 10-8. Tatum is questionable for this slate. They already ruled out Drew Holiday against Miami. He's $10,000. So we'll have to see what happens with the injury on this slate because there are plenty of big names that we're going to be monitoring here. SGA, as I mentioned, 10-8, far and away the highest price point guard. LaMelo Ball did not play Sunday. He is $9,900. We'll see if he suits up against Brooklyn on the Monday slate. We have Trae Young at 98, Anthony Edwards, Damian Lillard still $9,200, and Kyrie Irving at 9K. Without Giannis, do we feel like we just keep plugging Lillard while he's under $10,000?
Yeah, it's for sure going to be, Dame time most of the time here. I think a lot of these point guards are in pretty good spots. SGA, obviously, an elite spot. Not the best 2 games back-to-back, but we know how good SGA's been. Trae Young looked great with his new look roster. I think Atlanta's going to be sneaky good with the additions that they made at the deadline. 35 and 14 for Trae, 92 for Dame. It makes the most sense of anybody, and he's going to be the highest rostered of this tier. You could also go to Kyrie in a tournament as a pivot. I mean, again, just not coming off the floor. No Anthony Davis. They're going to call on him a lot here. So I like Kyrie as a tournament pivot as well.
Sure. Mid-tier, you have Steph Curry, who's looked really good the last couple of games. He got Jimmy Butler with him there, $8,700. De'Aaron Fox, still only $8,300, has this matchup against Washington. Tyler Hero gets Boston at $82. Jamal Murray at $8,100. 8K tier is, are you believing in sort of the Curry resurgence over these last few starts?
I mean, he's like always capable of it. You know, Orlando 7 for 21. I mean, he just went through a little slump.
I said he went through a slump, but we're starting to question sort of what was going on with Clay and Steph rather than all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. Granted, Utah, LA, Chicago, not great defenses all on the road. Now we get to Milwaukee here. If he's going to play like this, obviously $8,700 is too cheap for him.
Yeah, I mean 18, 20, and 16 3-point attempts too. So
Insane.
we're getting max volume. The quad injury is something that's new. This is not the injury that has been the foot or I think the knee. So that's obviously something to pay attention to. Like De'Aaron Fox in that game, Spurs look a little uncomfortable right now. I mean, 3 1-point games since De'Aaron Fox has joined the team.
Yeah.
Two of them
to Charlotte
losses.
and Orlando, right?
Yeah, two of them losses. I mean, ultimately, I think Orlando right now is probably like a better team. I know Orlando's been struggling, but long term, that loss probably you look back on like, we're probably better. They're 11.5-point favorites on the road. Really good spot against Washington. If you want to get the Fox, do it. Miami's going to have all their guys. They're going to have Wiggins. They're going to have Kyle Anderson. They're going to have Davion Mitchell. I don't think it affects Tyler Hero too much. He's still their all-star representative. He's still been their best player.
Yeah, he performed well with Butler, so it's not like Wiggins is going to come in there and really take over.
It is what it is. Like, he has a ceiling. You can get to him in tournaments.
Yep. Again, you have Murray home versus Portland. McCollum in this range. Garland, Malik Monk, Jordan Poole, who broke slates the other day. 45 was a 45 actual. I think he had in that game.
Yep.
At $7,100.
Yeah, and then massive foul trouble the next day and couldn't get out of his own way.
That's a Jordan Poole experience right there.
Yeah, I mean, Murray looked awesome. And, I like that he's listed probable. He had been questionable for a few slates in a row already. Like, obviously, you're coming off a 12 for 23 of 30 points. Like, you're feeling pretty good playing 38 minutes. So, definitely can get to Murray, especially if Michael Porter Jr. is out again. Michael Porter Jr. is questionable. I like Garland. He's just safe at the price. Always just will give you like high 30s, low 40s fantasy points.
Yeah, it should be a competitive game too, which is what I like about this.
As long as if Ant and Conley play. I'm not saying they wouldn't keep it close without it. They won outright the other day, but I feel better about their chances of keeping it competitive with Ant healthy. Monk in tournaments and Jordan Poole in tournaments. I mean, Jordan Poole and Monk are both the same player, $600 cheaper.
Yep. I don't imagine you'll be going away from Anthony Simons in this matchup against Denver, $6,500. They just don't move this dude's price point.
No, we just need Denver to stay competitive because they're blowing everybody out right now.
Right.
They have 6 straight wins and 4 of them are blowouts.
They're obviously a very talented team. The way Michael Porter Jr., Murray and Jokic are playing right now, just kind of crazy. Aaron Gordon building himself back up there. All right, lower 6K, no Drew Holiday already. You got Peyton Pritchard at $5,800 against Miami. Is that an appealing option for you, or are there other plays in this 5K tier that you like?
The price is the price. I'm a little indifferent about it. But, I mean, he's given you 38 and 40 fantasy points in back-to-back games. So who am I to say it's too expensive? Stephon Castle has been really, hey, here's Peyton Pritchard for $400 cheaper. That's Stephon Castle. Going to come off the bench, 30-minute upside, really good spot against Washington. So, I'm assuming you see most of if there's ownership in this range, most of it goes to Pritchard. I think you could probably make a case for Castle being the better per dollar play.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell's questionable. Keon Johnson was really bad for about 3.5 quarters, and then he was really good in the fourth, so good in the fourth quarter. It's
saved our fantasy bacon. I got hooked.
hooked. Yeah,
He had an offensive rebound putback that he missed, like in the middle of that like fourth quarter or whatever, and that just was a sad moment for me.
Yeah, it was good. I turned the game on with my son to see him riding a stationary bike and picking up a technical on the side on the bench. Both those things is really fun to watch. But D'Angelo Russell's questionable. They're obviously like already shorthanded. So I think Keon's viable, and I think Keon's viable because the whole field is going to play Bub Carrington, who has 40 bombs in 2 of the last 3, and they've already ruled out Smart and Middleton through the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And even with Brogdon back, he played maximum minutes. So I think Keon's an interesting pivot away from Carrington, who's going to get all the ownership here.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, with the Washington plays are going to be, it's too early for bad fun, right? But like we're kind of getting there with some of these Washington plays where, Washington, you got a guy like Carrington, we got Koulibaly, like we're going to be playing some of these guys, down the stretch here, and they're going to just put up fantasy points on a bad team. So
I just don't look forward to it being now, and I don't look forward to it being chalky every slate. Like I don't want to play a chalky Washington every slate. Like
the prices at least coming up on them, right? Like their prices are not under 4K or under 5K for most of them. So we'll see kind of what happens there. All right, under 5K. Any thoughts here for targets for us?
If there's no Conley, Edwards, Dillingham, he wasn't great. But you have to like the minutes at least. He's really bad defensively, and he's just small, so he just won't close in a competitive game. So
we just got hyped up from Ann Edwards talking about how great of an offensive player he is.
He is like really skilled. He's just a small, bad defensive player.
Yeah.
As a rookie. I mean, that happens, right? When you're you're small, like that could happen. And 2, when you're a rookie, that could happen.
Remember when Clay was sidelined and he was like gassing up Jordan Poole, and we're like, like Jordan Poole, like here's the guy, right? And it took a little bit for Poole to like kind of to get there. So
and Jordan Poole having a career year, and he's a champion. So I mean, like you need like perfect storm for Dillingham. I think you need Edwards and Conley out to get there. Same thing really goes for KJ Simpson if LaMelo's out again. He wasn't great, but he played 32 minutes. And at 32 minutes, 25 fantasy points is more than fine. So that's probably it. Elf played 23 minutes on Sunday. If there's no LaMelo, Elf will back up KJ Simpson.
Yeah, KBJ DNP'd. He didn't even get the 4 minutes of Ryan Rollins' run, right? So
good. Keep him right there.
DNPing. Shooting guard and Edwards, as you mentioned, we'll see if he's in around 97. Johnny Mitch is 85. Trey Murphy, $8,200. Jaylen Brown, 8K. Also here on the injury report with a questionable tag. I guess we'll see what Boston does in the week before the All-Star break, but obviously if there's no Jason Tatum who's questionable, Jaylen Brown at 8K would be a great option for us here. Thoughts on the 8K and above range?
Yeah, I mean, Ant had like 100 points combined or, 90 points combined in the 2 games prior to the hip injury.
Yeah.
If he plays, Cleveland's good defensively. I wouldn't say they have one individual that's elite with Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro both out. So, I'm sure Cleveland will find ways to like trap him when he crosses and stuff. But I think this is the best version of Ant, right? 15 and 18 free throws, because this is a guy who can get to the free throw line whenever he wants. So if Ant's going to take this many free throws, he's impossible to stop. So in tournaments for sure. We know Donnie Mitch gets up for big games. 36 minutes in the Boston game. Of course, the Washington game stays close. He nukes in that one.
Yeah, we sat here, we're like, man, there's 2 17.5 point spreads on this slate. I know.
I should have never bought into the, I'd rather like, and it's annoying when you like, you're like, oh, I'm going to play this shorthanded team for the, and they get blown out, and you're like, man. But I just feel like that's still the correct process, right? Because it's the NBA. Like they're still in the NBA for a reason.
The Thunder Raptors game was competitive for like
It
3.5
was.
quarters, right?
It really was. It really was. So, Donovan Mitchell for sure in tournaments. Trey Murphy, he had a good game, except, Zion had 40 actual in 28 minutes in that game.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot you can do. Like, he missed a lot of shots, but also there's probably more opportunity if Zion didn't have 40. So.
And you know what? Zion having 40, he had 7 and 9 assists the last 2 games.
He did. He did. Yeah,
so
he's been playmaking.
Opportunities to assist on those buckets at least.
Yeah.
And
I like Jalen. I like Jalen in tournaments for the record too. If he plays.
Yeah. I mean, if there's no Tatum for sure, right? Obviously, there's this tremendous upside. Levine's tilt. The Portland was the worst thing of my life. I had the under 21.5. I don't know if you saw how that game ended, but basically Portland took free throws to go up, and then with no time left, Levine just had a who gives a F dunk to go and get his 22 points. So the game cast says Zach Levine dunk, game end. So big sad for me there.
I'm just gonna say it. You know yourself to bet it under. That's
I know. And you know what? I also benefited from Josh Hart getting the 0.2 second rebound in the game like 2 days prior. So you giveth and you taketh. But I saw all of a sudden Sacramento's point go up to 0-2. I was like, don't dare. Yeah. And then sure enough, Zach Levine with the dunk. Anyways, I'm not touching him. No, I'm not playing Levine.
Play Dyson Daniels instead.
Yeah. Dyson Daniels against Orlando. So obviously like a not like perfect matchup, but he just continues to be awesome.
You know who he's playing like? Jalen Johnson.
Sure.
Right? Yep. Like this is like a Jalen Johnson stat line, like with a few less points basically every night. I feel like I'm looking at like a Jalen Johnson stat line most nights.
You're getting rebounds, you're getting assists, you're getting blocks and steals.
And the points have been pretty consistent for Dyson Daniels lately too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like Dyson Daniels at $7,200. Again, Derek White is here. There's no Drew Holiday. If there's anybody else missing, another guy that just don't really touch the price, $6,300 would be good. You have Vassell. Vassell said he has to make shots. He's made shots, playing a whole bunch of minutes still. Numbers haven't really fallen off for him at all. So if you want to go there against Washington, you can. And then you have Koulibaly on the other side of that matchup. Loving the minutes. 20 shot attempts against Atlanta seems crazy, but this is maybe what he's going to do now that there's no Kyle Kuzma. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and no Valanciunas too.
Yeah,
no Valanciunas. Took two like very and no Sar. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to get 20 shot attempts a night, but considering Keyshawn George is also on the injury report for this game, that game was without Keyshawn George. So they're without all those players plus George, who we may just see another aggressive version of Koulibaly. I was tilting this one because I played Koulibaly and he started 1 for 6. So it's like, I'm happy you're shooting, dude, but like 1 for 6, like this is
zero assists after like us touting like they're running the ball through him. Like, again, now Jordan Poole did everything 2 games prior, but like, you got the assist there, and I know Poole didn't score, so, but you got to do something for us there. Simons we've talked about, we're good on. Christian Brown up to $6,100.
Yeah, if Porter sits, I think it's a comfortable price. The minutes should still be fine, because they're still missing Westbrook, they're still missing Peyton Watson, but I'd rather play Christian Brown than this bum.
I will.
The price is too.
I'll agree with you on the Kamara price.
It's the price. It's the price. I don't know why they're elevating his price the way they are.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why they're doing it either. Again, we've joked about him. The minutes are obviously legit. But there's just like a bit of a lag in production, when it comes to his pricing in terms of overall output there. What do we do as we work our way down? There's Sharp, Cole Anthony, Klay Thompson, who didn't miss a shot against Boston. What do we think in this range?
Yeah, I mean, Klay has tournament upside. He also has a 1 for 10 in his last 4 games. So there's a wide range of outcomes. The better Dallas wing has been Max Christie, who is not looking like a throw-in in this deal in any capacity. He is looking like a full-fledged, like, hey, we didn't get a second round pick or 2 firsts back because we view Max Christie as one, right? Like 3 and D, but also gonna score 15 plus, I guess, every game that I'm a Mav. So if they're gonna get this version of Max Christie, I mean, he's going to play a lot. They lost in that game. It wasn't just AD. They also lost PJ Washington to an ankle. I think PJ Washington is, it's questionable. So, like, there's a legit chance Max Christie starts if PJ Washington said he might start anyway because Dallas can't go big. Like, they can't do their big lineup now that AD's out. So, I actually think there's legit.
Sharp's been getting decent minutes. Obviously, we know he's a big offensive player, so in tournaments, you could go there. But under 5K, you got any W's you mentioned? If there's nobody in,
yeah, that would probably be the only scenario you get to him though. We need people out.
Vic Kretsch, 32 minutes.
He's been good. Yeah, I'm definitely a little. I was looking at this rotation earlier. He played a lot and he played really well, and he was in their closing lineup and stuff. I am curious to see what happens if Karis LeVert doesn't have 4 first half fouls in 8 minutes and then picks up his 5th in the third quarter. I'd like to see if we're getting some like extended LeVert run for Krejci. But if he's going to play this well, then yeah, I mean, I can see a scenario where he's closing most games. But, I think Atlanta's rotation is going to be pretty fluid because they added so many players. Like Terrence Mann played 24 minutes. Karis LeVert was in a bunch of foul trouble. We're going to talk about Georges Niang in a little bit and how good he was. But so I think Krejci's definitely in play. I'm just a little interested in how the rotation shakes out, long term.
Gary Trent played 33 minutes on Sunday. It's $3,900.
He's been good lately.
They had played AJ.
I mean, he's having
AJ Green got 25. Bobby Poe came off the bench, still played 30. Kuzma started, played 36. Kuzma was under $4,000 on the Sunday slate. Did they move his price up finally? Where is he? There he is, 53 still. So we'll move to small forward now. We'll talk about that. Tatum is at 10K. Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay, what do you got?
Whoa.
Seth?
Yeah, I mean, if Nick Smith is out and LaMelo, Seth Curry was really, really good. And there's always a chance Seth Curry even sits second leg of a back-to-back. He would have to start. I feel like we've seen this before where he didn't start and then he barely played on the second leg of a back-to-back. But if they're shorthanded, we're definitely playing some Seth Curry.
Anybody else?
If Charlotte's going to run the same rotation, Isaiah Wong, 3K, he played 24 minutes, min salary, 24 fantasy points. If they're going to be super shorthanded, even potentially throwing in Seth Curry in a second leg of a back-to-back, Isaiah Wong at 3K makes a lot of sense.
All right, small forward, as I mentioned, Tatum is up here at $10,000. Franz Wagner's 85. So obviously there's a big drop off from the very top price guy. Tatum is questionable. Tournaments, if you want to get there, certainly can. If Jaylen Brown ends up getting ruled out as well, along with Drew Holiday, we like Jason Tatum here at 10K. But Wagner at $8,500 against Atlanta, coming off of a 58 fantasy point, 33-point double against it. He just continues to be awesome. And another guy that they don't really move his price point. Now I know he's sort of priced appropriately, but still really great play for the majority of the season. So him there, Jalen Williams, $7,900. You got Butler at 78. What do we think for small forward here?
That's new J-Dub eligibility too.
Yeah, Chet Holmgren back, right, man?
Most of the year.
Somewhere.
I'm good with Franz. He'll get the Dyson Daniels assignment.
Sure.
That's what it is, but it's a good matchup, really good pace spot for Orlando. So we'll definitely want some exposure there. I like J-Dub 79. You know, we kind of hit it on the head with the Chet minutes. They didn't really play him a lot. He was really good, but they didn't play him a lot. They played J-Dub a ton in the Toronto game, and then they played him a ton on the back-to-back, and he was great in that one too. Jimmy did not have a good first half, and then he just took over, just getting to the foul line over and over and over again, and obviously lost out on some time in what became a blowout. So I'm good with
if he's
getting
motivated. $7,800, like there's a lot to potentially like here at this price.
I mean, he even said it. He's like, I don't know any of the plays, so like I'm just out there hooping. Don't know anything, but what he does know is Jimmy is relentless going to the rim. He is relentless, and he is in the like short list of best foul baiters in the NBA, right? Like he gets to the foul line, and so if he's gonna do that until he learns the plays, well, shoot, that's a nice way to rack up
agreed
points.
I mentioned Washington questionable for this one with the ankle. Obviously, if he can go, we go right back to what PJ Washington was before the Anthony Davis trade, which was awesome. So we certainly look at him. Your boy MPJ questionable with the hammy, but he has been redonkulous.
He said after the game, he was asked, he said, I could have played this game if I was needed. So he felt that he wasn't needed, and he wasn't when Phoenix ruled out Durant and Beal. He was like, nah, I'm good. And Grayson Allen.
Once they were done, it's like, all right, like, I'll sit. That's fine.
So I would lean that he's gonna play.
Those 30 points against Orlando just came out of nowhere. Like he was like middling. Then all of a sudden, boom, you just had like 4 threes.
I mean, dude, he has been. That's the best 3-game stretch of his career, and it's not even close. Sucks that it had to be ruined by an injury, but best in his career.
Mr. Denny, we're done with you. 23, 18.
Yeah, we could just go to Jaden.
3 minutes.
Go to your boy. Go to your boy, Jaden.
12 of 17, God, 30, 10, and 4, 51.
I know there is no ant, but like we've been kind of saying this for a while. Since DiVincenzo went down, and then since Randall's, yep. It's 2 starters down. It's like 2 high usage starters down, and the ant like premonition is coming together, right? He's like, well, we got Jaden McDaniels. Maybe he was just a couple years. It's like the Bruno Caboclo draft night, right? He was 2 years away from being 2 years away. Like Ant's comments were 2 years away.
Into the league, elite defense, ready offense coming around.
Yep. And he's looked really good. And obviously, it's not a fun spot, and he's not going to have fun.
But Evan Mobley? Or Mitchell, or whoever he's on?
No, Donnie. Yeah, he's not going to have fun in that one, but people aren't having fun with him. He's 6'10". Like he's
a monster. Cam Johnson got up to 30 minutes, so the minutes keep tracking in the right direction. No Russell potentially. 62. I mean, we've gone over this with him. Like this is a too cheap price point if he's going to lean in as the primary offensive player on this team. Yeah,
I just don't know. The only thing I'd say is I don't know who's going to deliver him.
Hopefully Keon, right? When we go back to his PRA.
Right? Hopefully Keon and not Reese Beekman. Like I would prefer if it was not Reese Beekman being like the starting point.
Kuzma might be the highest rostered player on the slate, right? 5,300 coming off 36 minutes.
Him or Dame.
Or Portis.
I mean, it's going to be the same thing, right? Milwaukee. Or Portis. It's going to be Milwaukee. Now the Portis thing is interesting that they didn't start him. I found that Kuzma, very fascinating. They started Kuzma, but they had said, and this is the part I don't get, they had said Kuzma was going to start at the 3. And I guess they technically did, but they went back to Taurean Prince. They gave Taurean Prince the start over Portis.
Maybe matchup based, I don't know.
Kuzma's going to be.
Dude, why was he $3,800 on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't
make any sense. But 5,300 is still too cheap if again we're talking about a guy that is maybe more motivated, right? Like he wanted to be traded out of Washington months ago, right? Like,
well, he realized he messed up because he vetoed a trade last year to
right.
go to Dallas.
For PJ
And then they traded
yeah.
for PJ Washington and made the finals. So like Kuz was probably like, damn, could have been playing with Luka.
Yeah,
Well,
he might
now
have
he
been
would
part
have
of that
been. But
trade
he's like,
going to LA.
damn.
Who knows?
Yeah, he played. True.
DeAndre Hunter, $250-$200. Yeah.
I wonder what they do here. Do you think he immediately starts over Strus, or do you think that they continue to use him
I think
as a
he
bench
comes off the
player?
bench but plays more minutes than Strus.
I don't know what
Because he's not a good.
I have no idea.
He's not like a great defensive player. He's like he is the guy that would come off and carry a second unit offense.
He's Jordan Clarkson. He's a better defending Jordan Clarkson.
He's Karis LeVert. Like, this is just saying.
Karis LeVert, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. He's a bigger. Yeah, he can guard more wings.
He's a bigger player than LeVert, so he has more range that way. But
Karis LeVert's still a better rebounder, even though.
Dude, you watch him out. 8 and 10 rebounds in 2 of the last 3 games for DeAndre Hunter here.
Yeah, 2 of the last 3. What's the
0
game in that?
The 20-0-0-0-0 game, and then he monster smashes and then gets traded. So we'll see what happens there. Kispert 51, like you mentioned, there's people out. Maybe you get more run out of Kispert. He got 35 minutes in that game against Atlanta.
You can't pay me to pay 5,100. Like, you couldn't pay my entry fees.
If they told you he was playing 35 minutes, you wouldn't play Corey Kispert at $5,100. He could go hit 6 threes in this game.
I'll beat me with 6 threes.
Yeah, he's averaging 20 fantasy points on the year in 26 minutes.
He is. Look at that fantasy point per minute output.
I know, but if you give him 35, he gets you 25, and that's 5 minutes.
He's fine. He's fine.
I texted you the other day that Harry B was having a day.
It's impossible to know. It's just impossible. It's impossible to. It's like the Denny stuff. Like, how do you know when these people play?
I guess would Najee get a bump here? No. Yeah.
Yes. He would, for sure. I mean, Max Christie and PJ Washington.
And AD obviously out, so he's already in rotation. So we're finally getting back to like good Najee Marshall as well.
Yep. My assumption is if PJ Washington, I mean, Max Christie might start anyway, like because PJ was starting at the 3. They shift PJ to the 4. My assumption would be Christie would start, but if PJ can't go, you might see Najee start as your small ball 4.
So
and then I'd have a ton of interest because Sacramento's playing a 4-wing around wing lineup around.
Not playing a true power forward there, so. Or point
guard.
Yeah, just all wings. Richeche, 24 minutes. Yeah,
it just is what it is. He's just going to play 24 in every scenario.
Anybody else for you down here?
I don't believe so. I mean, you mentioned the Gary Trent stuff.
If there's no Christie,
yeah, he would have to start. They pushed him back to the bench. That would probably be the only other thing. I guess Salon, he wasn't great, but he played 31 minutes off the bench. And I wouldn't put it past Charlotte if they started him over Daquan Jeffries.
Jeffries did nothing today.
He's nothing, and also what is your motivation to use Daquan Jeffries over the guy you drafted in the first round in the lottery this year?
Yep, agreed. No, I agree. At this point, you're got to get that experience and see what that guy can be. So, I
mean, I think the best telling sign for that is he went 1 for 12 and they let him play 31 minutes, right? So
and then just obligatory if everybody ends up being out for Boston, like Sam Hauser would be a play, but everybody has to be out. Like no Brown, no Tatum. Like that would have to be the way I'd go for there.
Missoula's not coaching. his assistants aren't there either. Sam
Exactly.
Cassell, I think, is on the bench there. He's not there.
Bridges is 88, but Zion. Now it's not an easy matchup by any stretch. But I mean, dude, 20 minutes. Like what?
I don't know what the stat was, but there's only been like 5 players this year that have had 40 actual in less than 30 minutes, and twice it's been a Pelican in the last week. Trey Murphy has done it, and Zion's done it. And I think they lost both games. I think they've lost both games. I mean, dude, he's been this since he's come back from injury. Outside of the one game in Denver that you had to go take a shot on his conditioning, and then he's like, "I'll show you conditioning, John." And he went for 28 in 6 and 4 in Denver. I just think I'm done trying to predict when he's going to get a minutes bump because it's impossible.
He may not, right? Maybe they just keep him here. You know, like
it just seems we're 5 games at 27 to 28 minutes, and I'm okay with that if we're going to get, this version of Zion.
Agreed.
And also, I do think Bridges is a pretty good play if there's no LaMelo. It's a really good spot. He had another huge game. I don't know.
No, I agree with you. He's going to lead the team in shot attempts if there's no ball. Obviously, Brooklyn not a great team here. So
yeah, bottom 5 defense. It checks out as a really good play.
The Zion thing, New Orleans dead last in the West, so like they have no incentive to play him, push him, do more than
Keep
they
him
have
healthy.
to.
You didn't trade him. He was extended last year. Like you need that guy healthy going.
Get his game wraps up and then trade him in the offseason.
Dude, and you could I mean, they could realistically
if they go through, hey, he played 50 straight games to close the year.
I agree. Yeah, it's a great point because like a lot of people that were supposedly going to get traded that didn't probably are like very hot commodities come the offseason. Yeah. And for a couple of weeks there, Zion was like being brought up religiously.
Him and Ingram,
like,
obviously they moved Ingram. Yeah. But like at this point, I mean, he's got 3 years left after this at like massive money.
Year. Yeah, he extended last year. I mean, they had a great year last year. He had a great year. He was healthy.
You were going to bet the MVP, and then he got hurt.
I was going to bet the MVP, and then he got hurt.
Mobley 84, Banchero hit the game winner, but he still doesn't look great.
Yeah, it doesn't. He doesn't look great. He does not.
That injury is. We were so excited, and then down.
He had a couple like monster games, and then
Yep. Nas Reed $6,900. Obviously, Cleveland is a tough ask for many, but he continues to be awesome. So,
dude, the fact that he got to 40 fantasy points in this game, he had like 14 fantasy points at half.
Yeah,
he had like 14 fantasy points like halfway through the third.
The 3-point shooting is insane here.
He is so good.
Is Randall traded in the offseason?
I was listening to like some Minnesota podcasts that say that Chris Finch absolutely loves this guy, Julius Randle.
For what?
Because he's a secondary creator. They don't have one. That's the reason they put DiVincenzo in the starting lineup. Like they don't have shot creation. If you get the scenarios where teams are doubling Ant and Ant's complaining about it, well, there's a reason. No one else can create except Randall and DiVincenzo. So, Naz Reid, I'll say this. Naz Reid, if he keeps playing this way, is definitely making it harder for Chris Finch and the Timberwolves not to start him when Randall's healthy, like after the break. Like that for sure is like, hey guys, I'm really good.
We're better.
I spaced the floor. Like, yeah. Well, and coincidence, Naz Reid starting and Ant Edwards has 30 free throws in the last 2 games. I think the floor is opened up a little bit.
5 for 9 from 3. When you have a 40% shooter from 3 and not a 30% shooter from 3, it's easier to do that there. Bobby Poe at 63 again. He 10x 2 of the last 3 games. He still had 18-13 off the bench today against Philly in just 30 minutes. You just keep playing Bobby Portis here. No reason not to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, as long as the minutes off the bench
Sure.
are what the
You
minutes
won't
are on
know
the
until
bench, right?
they're not, right?
Because
You're just going to play them on the assumption, but
no, you won't. It has happened this year. Earlier in the year, I remember Giannis was ruled out and he played like 22 minutes off the bench. Like, why? Why did that happen? But if he's playing well,
agreed.
he's just gonna play.
32 minutes for Draymond. He's been better last couple of games here.
Yep.
$6,000. We talked Kuzma. Jovic is questionable. Aaron Gordon, you've been high on. What do you think in this 5K range?
Yeah, I mean, Gordon's been good. He let everyone down. The minutes just haven't needed to be there because Denver again is just torching everybody. Like, why push the guy with the calf injury?
Purple stat. I mean, he let everybody down in
So-
quotations. He still gave you 28 at 48 and 27 at 49.
No, the chalk games that when he was Charlotte, Philly, New York, he was like super chalk in those games and just flopped. And then no one's played him in 3 straight slates, and he's been like really productive. Sure, I'd be down to go back to the well. We talked Najee Marshall. Can't play Sohan. If Keyshawn George plays, the minutes have been good. The shots have been going in, and we every time you and I have talked Keyshawn George, he is all first team shot maker show. Like when Keyshawn George makes shots, he has been a really high ceiling player. And when he doesn't make shots, he has been essentially a zero.
Making the threes,
he is on the he is on the all first team. I am fascinated by Georges Niang on this Hawks team. And like originally I was just kind of like, what is this trade going to look like? Why did they make this trade? Why did Atlanta do the things that they did? And then I watched them play with Georges Niang, and I reminded me, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy shoots 40% from 3 and is now playing with
it's a completely unfair comparison, but you just think of Danilo Gallinari when he was with Atlanta. He was just like a big wing that stood out there, was not a good defender, but had games where he rebounded and he hit threes. So he was just a wing, a 3 guy. So
I would say though, I think Georges is so physical that he brings his defense is predicated on physicality. He is the most he's in the Dylan Brooks annoyance tier of wow, I hate playing against this guy while also shooting 40% from 3. And they started him first game on the team, and he played 26 minutes in the starting lineup. I think that's incredibly interesting. He's a career 40%.
He was good in Philly during those couple of years, coming off the bench for them playing big minutes. So,
do you know who he played for? Quinn Snyder in Utah. Sure. They have a familiarity with each other. I don't think that's a coincidence. First game Niang's there. He's like, hey,
kind of crazy. We're coming up on 10 years of Niang being in the league, right? Because it took him forever to actually play, right? He was just
rotation,
8 minutes a night for 5 years in the league,
And then it's oh wait, a physical 40% 3-point shooter that can play hard nosed defense and we should probably play that guy some more. So I think it's not obviously the best spot, but I think playing with Trae Young is going to be really good for Niang if he sticks in the starting.
Anybody else?
There's a chance Daquan Jeffrey starts. To what extent you want to play him.
Yeah,
that's another story, but he's probably going to start. If everyone is out for Dallas, you could probably see Omax Prosper play, but he's kind of been DMPing last couple games. I don't think there's any
center. We have the Joker at 12-7. I'm sure there'll be people that say, "How can you pay this money for Nikola Jokic?"
I hope the ownership keeps going down. My opinion just doesn't change.
If you're going to get a
It just
20%
doesn't.
Joker,
He's been in blowouts.
he deserves to be in a lineup because if he goes for 99 at 20%, he's going to win you money. So now this slate value wise has some options. You know, it's not flush with as much value as we've seen yet. There's obviously a lot of questions to come out, and if value opens up, we see this a lot. When people start plugging in $3,000, the $4,000, all of a sudden they're like, "Man, I can play Joker today." Like they do. And his ownership goes up. So we'll see what happens. But obviously, not to his own detriment. He's played 29 and 31 minutes because of blowouts, and he gave you 66 and 54 fantasy points. He had to give you another 8 minutes in those games, like he does in competitive games. He's going for 70 plus again. So play him if you got him. Wemby, man, dude. Had a great matchup against Chicago and Charlotte. Did not do what we had hoped for. 45 fantasy points, 11K. Sucked. Against Orlando, 11-1, 49 fantasy points. Not what you're looking for. Now he has another elite matchup against Washington. Do we get ceiling level Wemby here? Because this is a ceiling level matchup for him.
It feels like a feeling out process, right? Like, shot volume is down in 2 of the last 3. Like you're getting a high usage rate player implemented into your system. And now you're like trying to figure out how to balance shots because like Vassell's shooting as much as he's been shooting. You have Stephon Castle being a dog off the bench in 2 of the last 3 games. Like he's scoring. And like Wemby and Fox are trying to learn how to play with each other. So I feel like it's like a big, like, there's a learning curve because this is like the best player Wemby's obviously ever played with in the pros. Like it's his 2nd year and he's already got like, wow, I already have like an all-star 25 point per game scorer on my team. I didn't think that would happen already, but I mean, he always has a ceiling. This feels like a spot to have a ceiling
8 stocks last game that didn't crack 50 fantasy points. Like that.
Right. And that is the difference between like him and Jokic on a night-to-night basis. Like he is just not there on a fantasy level. Now, obviously the price reflects that, but he still needs a lot of fantasy points. You need 55 fantasy
you need
points
30 actual.
You need
for 30
volume.
Plus actual most because he's not going to triple double unless he gets it in blocks, which he's done. You know, like, you know, he doesn't get the assist numbers like we thought he would. We thought he would be a better passer. That just hasn't been. Maybe it starts with Fox, but it hasn't been there. Sabonis, again, a guy that we know can't get triple doubles. He's fouled out of the last 2 games.
Yep.
51 fantasy points though, under 10K, more palatable. And Dallas obviously is a good matchup for him here. If you wanted to get there. Porzingis 78, Gafford on the other side of that matchup at 74 is pretty good. What do you think in this mid-range?
I just like looked at Mark Williams' name and I just thought like, man, what do him and Dalton Connect go back to their teams and they say, man, we're so happy to have you back. You know, we didn't even want to trade you.
Well,
but,
how about
the
conflicting
we had a deal we couldn't
right?
refuse.
Charlotte making their post being like, we welcome like Williams back. Like, there were something about there's some terminology of like, the aggressively pursued. We didn't want yada yada. But the initial reports were that Charlotte offered this deal to the Lakers. That Charlotte was like, hey, do you guys need a center? Here's Mark Williams. We'll take Connecting some first. And the Lakers were like, yeah. And the Lakers were like, you're trading Mark Williams? Like, yeah, sure. We were calling on Mitchell Robinson. Like, we'll take Mark Williams. And now the Lakers don't have a center. So, we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen there, but not the center they wanted to pair with, they might have made a move for Nikola Vucevic if it wasn't for the fact that this Mark Williams trade landed in their lap, right? Like,
or Walker Kessler or like anybody breathing. That's all I could think of right there. I mean, Porzingis would stand out probably the most in the mid tier. Like, if any, I would say if like one guy is missing, because then you get like second option Porzingis, and we've seen that for a while. Like he has such a high ceiling. If both guys are out, like if both JT and JB are out, I mean, it's going to be Derek White, Kristaps, Porzingis, pick and roll, pick and pop,
Yeah.
the whole game. It's going to be an interesting Boston offense in that regard. But if KP really stands out, I know it's a tough matchup for him, but like they could be very shorthanded.
Mentioned Gafford, 26 minutes for him against Houston there, 6 blocks, 7 and a steal. Again, you give him now back to no Anthony Davis, like he's just going to just dominate in the post. So,
you just please stay
out of it. And we've seen elite production out of him there, as you thought, and you correctly called. Chet limited 22 minutes there, looked decent in the 22 minutes, but until he gets ramped, if he even gets ramped anytime soon, you have there. Other side, you have Hartenstein, Ayton, Gobert, Allen, all here, Okongwu. What do we think of the 6Ks?
I mean, I like Hartenstein. Only had to play 26 minutes in the Toronto game. It is what it is. Ayton has a pretty high ceiling. I also think you can go at Jokic. He's not like the best defender, so you can get to Ayton. Don't hate Gobert. Don't hate Allen on the other side. Nothing that really is. I must play this. Truthfully, I don't love this price range. Nick Claxton, 57. We've talked about it with Brooklyn, a couple times. It's very game to game whether any player is going to be extended, right? Who knows when someone is extended for Brooklyn? We thought we had all the answers for Keon. He played all these minutes every game, and then he plays 23, even though he's playing well. And Nick Claxton hasn't been playing a lot of minutes. He's playing well, and then he plays 31. It's all right, well, if I get a good version of Nick Claxton, then I have 30-minute upside. And if I don't, well, who knows what the minutes end up being. But I like the price for the player when he's playing 30 minutes.
I don't even disagree. I just wish he was they paid him money. I thought if nothing else, he'd be the 35-minute guy for them. Right, and it just hasn't been that case.
Yeah, Jordi Fernandez just doesn't care about your money. Doesn't care about your money if you're not playing well. I guess.
What do we do at the rest of the center position? Is it Rashawn Holmes?
I don't love the price.
The minutes have been there, right?
He's been good. I mean, he's clearly been the guy in this front court.
Can he handle Wemby without fouling out? I guess is the question.
I mean, Wemby's not that guy. Wemby is not get in the post and back you down. Wemby has no.
Tell that to Joel Embiid who got ejected from Wemby flopping all around him, right? Yeah, so. No, I'm
just saying, Wemby's strengths aren't. If that was the criticism that the scout made about Wemby before he went on that tear, then I would have been yeah. I mean, he doesn't look physically strong compared to
anybody else at center you like?
Quentin Post made a bunch of shots the other day, signed a contract, still starting. I don't know. I don't think there's anything else we need to really pay any mind to.
This is kind of a weird slate.
I guess if Tatum sat, we know Horford would. Are
they in a back-to-back? Let's see. Boston playing. Let's see. Boston plays Monday. Do they play? They don't play Tuesday. Nope. Nobody on a back-to-back on Tuesday. So, all right. That's good to know. It's not like we have to worry about Horford getting downgraded or something like that. So, then no one's on a back-to-back.
Huh?
Big slate Monday, shorter slate Tuesday. All right. What did we want to do with this? I feel like did we have a absolute plug? Dame, yeah, it's all the Milwaukee guys, right?
Yeah.
Probably just chase that with like Steph, I guess. Then Steph or Butler. Butler's the better price.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have objections either. I'm not like completely. I don't care either way.
Christie at 5K. You're Carrington or Christie?
Man, Bub's gonna definitely play more minutes.
We can play both. I mean, if you're there, or Castle, or Pritchard, Keon. We liked Keon. Right? Is that only contingent on D'Angelo being out? Do you think?
No, I mean, I just don't know I don't know. No, but I don't. Why did he only play the minutes he played last game? It's so annoying. Jordan Niang, 42.
Probably have the utility. Well, if we get rid of Butler, let me go Steph. 5,600. If we get another value, we can get a mid-tier center play. Like, do Nas or move Portis to center, maybe?
Yeah, move Portis. Move Portis to center. Then you can actually move Niang back to power forward and then go back to Jimmy.
That's the play, I think. Butler, $6,100.
Because that puts us on like
Koulibaly, Brown. We probably want to get.
Yeah, or
let's get Michael Porter Jr. in here at 66. And that'd be 56. Castle. There you go.
Castle.
There you go. Lillard, Carrington, Kuzma, Niang, Portis, Castle, Butler, and MPJ. $200 left over for our first look here. James and I will be back live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So we appreciate you all tuning in. Hit that like, that subscribe, that share. In the comment section, let us know who your favorite player of the day is. See if it matches up with ours. We'll talk about it at 5. Until then, everybody, we'll see you later.